Hello, this is Martin from Strange Little Locks. Some time ago I bought a bunch of old locks from eBay, about 40 or 50 of them. Most were lever padlocks in very poor condition, but some of the locks stood out. For example, this strange little lock here. It's obviously a crosslock. Unfortunately it came without a key, but the corresponding keys usually look like this. In principle, a crosslock acts like 3 or 4 normal pin tumbler locks arranged in one core. These crosslocks are not very common, but they can sometimes be found as a backup opening option in hotel safes. The manufacturer of this lock, according to the logo, is KZB. I couldn't find anything on this brand on the internet. If you should happen to have any information on the company and its history, I would very much appreciate if you could leave a comment below. My best guess is that it was made in the 1960s or the 1970s. Deducing from all the other locks that came with it, I would locate the manufacturer in East Germany. There's no stamping with a price on it, but there's a 10-digit code on the back side indicating the type of the lock. Let's get back to the core. Depending on the quality and the tolerances, crosslocks sometimes can be opened quite easily with a jiggling key. I bought this set here a while ago for about 10 euros from China, and usually they do their job. I tried each and every one of the keys and it got me nowhere. Next, I switched to a raking attack, and that didn't work either. Finally, I took a closer look into the keyway. Let's take this cheap endoscopic camera that is usually used to examine one's nostrils or ears. Now, this doesn't look like a typical crosslock at all. Now it's clear why our previous attempts to open this lock failed. The pins are not coming from the side as we would expect from a normal pin tumbler lock, but coming from the back. This looks much more like a contemporary tubular lock. There are 4 pins with quite some spring tension pushing against them. For comparison, I like to show you the configuration on a tubular lock. Whereas tensioning a tubular lock is sometimes difficult, here we have plenty of room to use the long end of a normal tensioner. This way we should have access to even the pin behind the tensioner. Let's give it a try to push all the pins one by one in the clockwise direction. I simply use a broken pick that I have filed down a little bit to smoothen the sharp edges. I put quite firm tension on the tensioner. Let's see, pin 1 is springy, pin 2 seems to be binding a little bit, pin 3 is binding tightly, nothing on 4. Now we have a little click on 4 and the core seems to have moved a little bit, back to 1, nothing, still springy, 2, little click there, 3, also a little click and movement on the core, 4 seems set, and 1 is binding now, so let's see, and we have an open. Because we had only to deal with 4 pins, that wasn't too hard. Now let's take a look at the locking mechanism. First of all, we have these 2 cutouts on the shackle. If we try to look inside the lock, we see this steel bar. This locking bar is pushed against the shackle by a strong steel spring. If the shackle gets pushed inside the lock body, the spring moves the locking bar into both cutouts of the shackle and prevents it from opening. The actuator on the core articulates very tight with the locking bar. So, when the bar moves into the cutouts, the core rotates back, the pins drop, blocking the shear line. So, despite using some kind of spring-loaded locking mechanism, this strange little lock should not be shimmable. Because I really liked this little lock, I kept looking and finally found one in even better condition and with a key. The little notch here on the key indicates the way the key should be inserted. By a clever combination of the mechanism being blocked when it's rotated in open position and the cross-shaped cutout in the lock body, this lock is even key retaining. The springs behind the pins are so strong that if you close the shackle, the key will literally jump out of the lock. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you also like strange little locks, consider subscribing to this channel. All the best, Martin.